the state and the defense have now rested their case. The attorneys now will present their final arguments. Please remember that what the attorneys say is not evidence or your instruction on the law. However, do listen closely to their arguments. They are intended to aid you in understanding the case. Now, the state will go first, and then the defense will go. Then I'll instruct you on the law, and then you'll go back and deliberate. Mr. Sarabia, you may proceed with your closing argument.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. First, I want to thank you all for your time and attention, and I apologize that there's more time and attention that I'm going to take of you today, but there's a lot of things to talk about. And at the beginning of this case, I told you that we're going to prove some aggravators beyond a reasonable doubt. At this point, we've done that, and we're going to show that the aggravators outweigh the mitigators and that this defendant should be sentenced to the ultimate penalty of death. Now, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to talk about some of the facts. I'm going to use the visual aids to show you some of the exhibits, talk about those facts. Then I'm going to talk about the aggravators themselves, how the facts apply to the aggravators. Then I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that the defense presented and some of the mitigators that you're going to be instructed on, and then we're going to close this thing out. So. First, last couple of days we've been talking a lot about Jamie, a lot about the defendant, but let's go back. I want to review with you kind of the way this thing plays out and in a little bit more detail than I have before. Using all of that fun evidence that we put in, there is a reason for it. So the slides aren't beautiful, but they have the pictures. Well, all these pictures are in evidence, so you can refer to them. And I tried to put exhibit numbers wherever I could. So if you need to refer to them, that's why all that's there. So first, you have State's Exhibit 184. This is just a simple bill that shows the time period the defendant and Jamie were living at Norwood Avenue. And it's a little hard to read up there, but the 10930 Norwood Avenue, bill went to Jamie Ivancic. I believe the date of the bill is December 19th, and for the period from December to early January. So there was evidence where they were, where Jamie had last been. There was indication of that. We know that was the case. So what happens then? Defendant and Jamie are living at that residence, and he kills her. And now you know that's an aggravator. And the defense agrees that it's an aggravator. There's a stipulation. He is convicted of that. He was convicted before we are here today, back on December 13th of 2023. That is one aggravator. That satisfies the first aggravator. So we get to look at those facts. What happened there? The defendant gets into an incident with Jamie, and he describes it, that there's violence between them or that she's threatening the kids, but even if we take him at his word, and by now you should be realizing that there's a lot of problems with doing that in many circumstances, but even if we take him at his word, he disarms her, she's no longer a threat, and he starts to strangle her, and he makes the decision that he is going to end her life. Those are not good facts for him. So she is getting choked out for the last time, because as we'll talk about, there's lots of indications that happened on a regular basis. For the last time, knowing that it was the last time, and then just to really do her in, while she's on the floor, he doesn't want her to come back, he goes, gets a hammer, and bashes her in the head. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the future too. But then, and this is one of those fun facts that he adds that doesn't really fit in right. He says, while all that's going on, and I'm going to refer, there are two separate interviews he does. I'm just going to refer to the times because they have timestamps on them. One happened somewhere between like 1 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. or 3 a.m. The other one happened same day, closer to between like 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., somewhere in there. So I'm just going to refer to the times that it happened. And it was on January 4th of 2019. But the defendant says, second interview, 11:18 in the morning, about 18 seconds, he says, there's broken glass just around. Did y'all catch that? It's just broken glass around. That's part of the argument that he left out. Why did he leave that out? Why is there broken glass on the ground? Because he says that he's strangling her, and she grabs broken glass to try and stab him to live, and fails. Why is there broken glass on the ground? Because it was another one of these domestic violence situations that is not the way the defendant wants you to believe. He's the violent one. He's the violent one. And does she always react appropriately? Not necessarily. Does Jamie have problems? Absolutely. But you don't have broken glass just lying around, especially broken glass of a size that you're going to be able to grab and stab somebody with. So that's one of those fun facts. Also, after he kills Jamie, this was another fun fact that's very telling about the defendant that we'll talk about as we keep going. The defendant he's killed Jamie. He has buried her. He wants to leave town and hide from the fact that he's done that. And what does he do? He calls Laura and Richard up to get money from them so he can do it. Like the gall and audacity of that. And sure enough, they, being the very helpful people that they are, and records indicate, have always been supportive and trying to help Jamie, help the defendant. They do it. They give him $1,000, which he uses to flee so that he can later come back and kill them all. But that's where our facts kind of start here. From there, you have States 206. So this is another document, which, by the way, these are all documents that were just floating around in the defendant's trunk. So the guy who is keeping an immaculate prison cell, you can see the car, the Kia he was driving. There was nothing immaculate about that. You can see all the McDonald's trash. Like, that was clearly post Laura. And even the Hyundai, I know that he was stuffing it with stuff, but you could tell all this stuff in there existed in there for a period of time. So don't let him fool you about how cleanly he is. The thing about prison or jail is that there's not a lot of stuff to have to be messy with. But anyway, this item just shows us, it helps us build our timeline. Because we know November 26th of 2018, he was in Texas, Houston, Texas specifically, selling an item. And the rest of it's not important, but we know it's him. We know he's in Texas. And then we have the next thing that comes up in our timeline, and keep in mind that the timestamps on these are in UTC, so I'm going to convert them for you. So December 1st, 2018, at 7:27 p.m., the defendant tells Damian Cunningham, hey, homie, I'm moving back up to Ohio in mid-December. You already know we're going to link up. So what does this tell us? There is already a plan afoot. He is going to end up back in Ohio. Texas is already over for him. But it's the first. He's going to be in Ohio not soon, not next week, not in a couple days, in mid-December. Why? Because he knows where he's got to go in between. So,
we approach?
You may.